This is my first time on the radio, so it's so fun to be able to like be live and talk to awesome individuals and good souls, like you said, right? My name is Luiggi. I am the CEO of For the People Pictures, where we make your stories come to life. So we are a video production company that is focused mainly on narrative films, so movies, films, TV shows, short films, anything that has to do with great storytelling. That is the main focus of what it is that I have created here. I lived in Los Angeles for about 7 years, learned everything, worked with some of the biggest companies, biggest brands, biggest celebrities, and then was like, I want to do this in my hometown because I appreciate San Antonio so much for the culture that it has. It technically instilled in me so many of the values that I now carry as an adult. And I just felt like there wasn't enough of a film community. It wasn't enough of a film hub. Like Texas right now is kind of growing, but I wanted San Antonio to really be the spotlight. And so I just came here and I've been working on that. I started the company in January 2024. And it's been really, really going great. I've gotten to meet a lot of local leaders and amazing people who have just been very vocal about wanting the same things that we've wanted. And I think that's why we connected, right? Jessica, like we connected over being vocal and being ambitious on like nothing's going to stop us from reaching that ultimatum that's like San Antonio deserves the attention that it's going to get from what we're building. And so yesterday was just absolutely a delight. I think it was one of the best days I've had in this city in a very long time because it was just, it felt like a movie.
I love that. And thank you for saying that. See, so if you hang out with us, it's going to be a good day.
It's a good day, yeah.
I honestly felt like it was super God-led. The
Yes.
whole thing, from
Yes.
like meeting you to like connecting with Cyndi to when you walked in and you sitting down and then how you just took the room away.
Well,
because you really did.
It was interesting because you go into a creative space, especially with other people who are in the creative space, and everybody's kind of throwing out ideas. And for me, it's like when she started saying, do you want that to be your event? Like, do you want to take charge of that? And everybody's kind of hesitating. I'm like, no, we need to be like strong and like confident in our decisions. And if we're wanting to make events happen here in the city and educate the community on what's possible for them to achieve in the arts, then we have to be very confident and courageous, like walk with that authority that Jesus gave you and not be afraid, because the enemy is always going to try to like bring you down, bring doubt into your mind. And it's like, I'm like, get out of here with that, like, no, I'm just focused on wanting to help others and just, even if it's just to teach them the basics of how to operate on social media, how to use TikTok, then I know I've succeeded in just planting that seed. That's right. Powerful. And just talking about God. Like on the way over here, I was praying and I'm like, man, God, you're going to put the words in my mouth. You're going to tell me what it is you want us to talk about and where you want to take this conversation. And Cyndi yesterday had me talking in front of the mayor within like 30 minutes of, everybody left the thing. And she's like, hey, you want to go to city council and speak about property taxes? I was like, okay. Yeah.
And let me tell you. Okay, so let me recap our day real quick, okay? Because, we started at 11 yesterday for lunch. And the importance of why we were there together is because I truly believe that not only am I supposed to work on certain pillars, but I do believe I'm supposed to work on the mountains of influence, right? So like I told you yesterday, when I look for community, and this is not a secret, guys, this is like biblical. So when I look for community, I look for community that's not only in faith, right? Faith, family, freedom, great. Education, right? Government, media, arts, entertainment, business, and economy. So most of the time, people fit into multiple of those aspects, you know? And you just happen to fit in like a puzzle piece. Like, where have you been all my life,
Right.
But, and I thought it was amazing because, our little luncheon was supposed to be from 11 to 1:30.
Right.
And we stayed till 5. And I told Jessica, she's calling me, I was like, girl, we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here. We're still meeting. And then we left about... I would say we left we left at 5.
Yeah.
We got to city council by 5:09. So I'm like, but I know you're still here. By any chance, do you want to go and talk about property taxes? Because you have a story about your parents, Right. And I said, that's very impactful because, we created that story like just right then and there, just talking about everyday life and how that affects us in our pocketbooks at home. And he started saying, well, you're right. That's what's happening with my parents. And I said, well, we're all part of the sandwich generation where we're helping our parents, but then we're also helping our kids. And then now we have grandkids, so it's part of a multi-family household. And I did tell the mayor that, but he was the last one to speak and he dropped the mic.
Oh my God.
I was like, whew. like chills. Like, wow.
It was definitely it was a little bit nerve-wracking while you're in there because it's so serious. It's such a serious space, right?
They
Like
just stare at you.
They're all just looking at you and they're not commentating on what you're talking about. So they're literally just quiet and like watching you. And I can imagine like you start your thoughts start to roam off because some of them like kind of like started dazing off and like looking at their phones
They're
and
like falling like.
falling asleep. I was like shocked. I was like, yo,
And
is
you
this
called them
really?
out.
Yeah, I called them out on it because I was like, yo, like you guys should be here focused on how everything that you do is going to affect the people outside these doors. Like that city council meeting yesterday had maybe like 20 people in it, but they've told me that sometimes they'll be packed, right? But it's like you have to bring the same energy when it's packed and when it's not. Like
It
you
wasn't
have to
even
remember.
20. It was like 5 of us and like 7 of them.
Right. It was a very small amount, but
Very scarce.
it was interesting because in those moments they probably think like there's not going to be a lot of vocal people who are going to come drop the mic, and I just made sure at the end to tell them like, hey, look, you may think you own my house even though I own it, right, because of the property taxes, but I know for a fact that we own this house, right? This is the people's house, and you don't forget that. You work for us. And it was just like, all right, thank you. You know?
Yeah.
And then I was
Dun, dun, dun.
I was just like, when I was walking away, I was like, man, that was awesome. Like, you know,
It
like
was awesome. It came out of nowhere. I mean,
Right.
it was in his brain and it was his story, but it was like mic drop and just like,
and you could feel it in the room. Like they definitely like took that and were like, okay, now become aware that there are people out there that are like very much fighting for the
Yeah.
right things, right? Like I even said, I was talking to my brother about this today because I was kind of recapping with him, and I was like, why are we giving the Spurs another stadium when we just built them a facility over there in La Cantera?
it
I'm
was
like,
beautiful,
it
right?
was
So
beautiful,
then
but I'm like,
after-
what?
After city council, this is how our day went. Like we spent all day, a full server shift at where we were at for lunch.
Yeah, Center Club.
We never publicized where we go.
Oh, my bad.
Forget
Redact.
that.
We were in San Antonio
And then
somewhere.
we went to Municipal Hall, and then since that was early,
Yeah.
the mayor decided to give us 3 minutes instead of 1.
Right.
Right? But then there was nobody in there. But then she also changed the rules a little bit. She changed the rules on us to where we weren't allowed to give our minutes to someone else.
Right.
So that eliminated one of my speakers. But it's okay. After that, we had enough time, so we hit up business BPSA with Genevieve. One of my ambassadors out there. We hit up Business Professionals of San Antonio and went in strong and told everybody that we just came from city council, and people were like, what? Like, they
Right.
want to go speak too.
Yeah,
You know?
it was cool too because they get so excited when you start telling them like, "Oh, I was just in front of the mayor," and they're like, "What? Like, what are you doing here?" And you're like, dude, we're just all over the place." Like,
Yeah.
I was the whole time I was just thinking to myself, I was like, "Man, you hang out with Cyndi, you don't never know where you're gonna end up, but it's gonna be awesome."
I can attest to that.
You know?
It's true.
And I told him, I said, well, sometimes my days go from like eating pancakes with the homeless. And the next thing I know, who knows, I'm at the inauguration ball on a $10,000 ticket that someone gave me. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know? So thank God for the people who are supportive and who listen to God and who, pass on blessings. Because if not, that yesterday would not have been that type of day, but I'm grateful. You went with the flow.
Yeah.
So did everybody else. Everybody else stayed with me the whole day till the nighttime. I didn't take them home till what?
11. We went to go pick up her son. She was like, "You mind if we could pick up my son real quick?" I was like, "Yo, I'm already here. Like, here's the thing that I loved about this. I shared this on TikTok for the people pictures. If you guys want to follow the stories on there, I literally at the end of the message where I shouted everything we did yesterday, I said the greatest thing that happened in my mind was that we were sharing joy. There was joy that was constantly being shared, and that's the mission that Christ has for us, right? Yes. Share that happiness, share that love, share that joy. And the whole time you felt that there was never any like discomfort or weirdness or ego. Everybody was just like going with the flow and being open to the experience. Mm-hmm. And then by the time we got to dinner afterwards, we were all just talking about our faith and talking about our relationship with God and opening up about things like that. And I was just like, that is so cool because I'm very vocal about my faith. I don't try to shun away from it. So I was just glad that everybody in the room was also receptive to it and had their own experiences or their own stories. And nobody was like, "Oh, you really want to talk about that?" Trying to change the subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you're in an environment like that, I mean, that's a gift. That was a gift yesterday that God gave me, right? And I think that's so beautiful. And then today is a gift because it's like now we're back.
Yeah.
We're back for an all-nighter.
Right. Who knows what's gonna happen after the radio show, right?
But I do, but I'm not telling you.
All right.
No, but I'm super grateful, and I told Jessica afterwards. She kept messaging me. I was like, I'm still out. I'm sorry. Like, I can't answer.
And I
told her, like, wow,
know
what a day.
Yes.
What a day from start to finish. yesterday was so perfect. And then today was polar opposite.
No, what happened?
Oh, man. I plead the fifth.
Okay.
But we're here to talk about you.
Okay.
Not about me. So anyway, it was such an amazing day. But you see, like, the impact, even though there's 5 of us, if there's 5 dedicated people, you know, you can just make such a dramatic change. And is that live on TikTok or where's live?
I should go live on TikTok right now. I was thinking about doing that.
Go live. Put it live on TikTok.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
I did that last time, but they weren't so nice. But I could put it live on TikTok too. I don't know. It was just meant to be. That's all I can say. Like a piece of the puzzle was missing, and thank God that Jessica, you know, through divine intervention, found you on TikTok. Because I told her it could have turned out the opposite. If you're meeting someone random off of TikTok, it could have been, you know, in the opposite direction. But thank God it all worked out. So we learned about a little bit about you, and
right.
You came from California. We forgive you for that. No, but you were only gone for a little while, right? Because yesterday you shared that you went to high school here.
Yeah, so I went to high school here. I immigrated from Peru originally, and then I came to high school here. Elementary through high school, grew up here. It's interesting because I got to experience all the different types of school systems. So I started in elementary, was public. Then I went to charter middle school, and then I went to a private high school. And what I realized is they all suck. That's what I realized. And it's so weird because, like, after that experience, like, to then go to college knowing that you can afford it, right? And your parents are not like, hey, we have a bunch of money we stashed away for you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm now choosing to go to California to Azusa Pacific. And it was this experience where all of a sudden, like, my parents literally told me when I told them, oh, I got accepted to this college, they were like, oh, you're actually going. And then it's like 2 weeks later, I'm like packing up my room, and they're like, oh, you're actually going. Yeah. And so one of the craziest things was that I was getting woken up in the middle of the night by God, and he was just telling me, he's like, the things that I'm going to go do for you out there are going to be things that are not only going to change your life, but they're going to change the lives of many people, right? Which is very powerful. Like, I'm talking like 2:30 in the morning, I would wake up and God would just be like, oh, it happened to me 3 times, right? And when I was leaving, right, I'm saying bye to my mom, she's crying, and I tell her, I finally confess to her, I say, you know, I was having this experience where I was waking up at night and God was speaking to me about my journey. And my mom literally tells me, she goes, why have I been praying that he wake you up at night and tell you what you were going to be doing out there? And I was like,
Chills.
immediately, it was like both of us were just at peace with everything. We were like, you know what? God is sending me out there for a reason. And he did. There's been so many people that have been impacted from just being out there and just being vocal about my faith, right? Even people that are like, they are Christians, but they don't post about it. I'll post on my Instagram story. I'll say, prayer requests, you know, send me a message, and I'll send them a voice note back where I'm just praying for them. 2-minute prayer. How can I help you step out of the situation and just let God take care of it, you know? And sometimes it is just about connecting, even if it's just for a moment. And the experience here in San Antonio, it just drove me back because it's like my brother, Christian, he had his son, Theo, and it's like to have a nephew and then to live, you know, halfway across the country, it was just kind of sad because I didn't want to grow up with him not knowing who I was, right? Because I love my brothers. And I really liked working in LA, but I wanted to be that uncle that was here. And now whenever he comes over, he's like, Uncle Luiggi, and he'll run and he'll hug me. And it's like, there's a lot of love there. And I wanted to be a part of that love, you know, and to be able to show him so many different things about life and the good things, right? The positive things, and how to be a strong individual and not let anybody kind of break you down. You know, it's just like something you have to teach people. You don't just know that, right? Like we're when we're young, we're so susceptible to just like whatever other people say, we accept as truth. And so to be the right person to give someone that knowledge that's like important and helps them actually grow into a good member of society. Because believe it or not everybody out there is trying to help society and make it better. There are some individuals out there that want to hurt things, and they're doing the opposite, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like people like what we had yesterday in that room felt like we were all just there to do good, you know. And that to me was like, this is the best place to really be just myself. And I really felt that. I'll be honest with you two ladies. I told my brother, I said, I walked into that room yesterday and I knew they wanted me to be myself, and myself I was. And I'm glad you guys like that.
Yeah,
loved it.
Well, I don't want you to be anybody else because everybody else is already taken.
Exactly.
But the thing is that I'm glad you felt it because not only do I look for people who already have passion in them, because you cannot create passion in someone. Either you got it or you don't.
Right.
And if you're waiting for someone to create and have a passion for loving what they do, it's never going to happen.
Right.
Remember I told you yesterday, it's like me forcing you to say, I want you to talk about gray poodles. And, you know, if you're not interested in gray poodles, and I'm like, no, you're not working on that. You're going to work on gray poodles. It's never going to work. It's never going to be something that you're going to be passionate about. You know, so either you got, I always say, you got passion in your pants and you're not afraid to show it.
Right.
Or you don't have passion at all, period. You know, so I look for those kind of people. It's a special kind of people. But if you saw the people in that room, you know that you were at the king's table. You were at with everybody who is at the top of their game. Mm-hmm. We don't play at the
small
ground level.
No small fish in that pond.
We don't play with pigeons and what are the other ones called? Pastor John Hagee always says it with the ones that are just like
crows,
hen pecking at the gravel. Like, we don't play those games.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like we're gonna bring them up to par. Either you're already at that level, you know. And I teach everybody about the 5, 10, 20. Like, who do we go for? You know, you're going to go for the top 5 at the king and the top 5 around him. Yeah. You know, and then if we can't, then we go for the 20 and still take over the king.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got the majority.
There's a strategy to all of this. Yeah. Yeah. So yesterday was pretty amazing because we had the best of the best, you know, and that's why that table is very selective. Very selective. So congratulations, you made it.
Yeah. Well, and it was cool too because it felt like everybody there was ready to collaborate, right? For the most part, like everybody there was just like, how do we make this work? Or even one of the guys there was like, I actually follow you on TikTok. I've seen your videos. I was like, that's awesome, right?
Yeah,
like, you know,
I love that feeling. It's scary. Like, you follow me? But then when they say, like, you know, that they see your work and they're proud of your work, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so if you're a true leader, you're able to collaborate. And
exactly.
At that table, it shows like this is about collaboration. And I said it straight out. If you're here for your 15 minutes of fame, you're at the wrong table. You know? Right. And if you're here because you want to collaborate and because you care, you serve, then you're at the right place. Let's do this, you know?
And it's
works.
all about just like bringing positive ideas that are about educating other people and sharing the knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. It's like when wealthy people share their wealth and they want to give back to the community. I'm like, that's what you should do with your money. You shouldn't hoard it. You know, like billionaires to me is like, how are you going to sit there with so much money when you see how many people suffering in the world, right? That doesn't even make any sense to me. But yesterday was all about giving time, giving energy, giving ideas, sharing. And I just felt like when I went to sleep, it was so funny because I got home at 11. And then right now I'm working with a client out of Los Angeles. And I had to jump on a meeting with him. And it was this other producer. We talked for 2 hours. And I was just like, I was tired. Because, when you hang out with Cyndi, you're going to end up tired at the end of the day. You're done. You're done.
I'm tired.
You exuded everything that you needed to that day. And when I got home, I was just like, I want to rest. And then the guy's like, I'm ready for the call. And I was like, okay, let's just do this. And then I ended up talking to him for 2 hours. And I was just like, man, I don't know what it is about. I told him, he goes, I didn't think we were going to talk for 2 hours. I said, it's just because you caught me on a day when I'm already all in that mode where I'm just like, let's connect, let's talk, let's meet new people. And it was just a wonderful experience to just be there. And like, I'm never going to forget that moment. And we walked away with some amazing stuff, right? We walked away with a mixer.
4 different events.
We're walking away with a mixer on the 16th of September. No time. Right. You know, that was one of the things. And anybody out there who's like wants to meet with other creatives and like once people start taking off, it's like, okay, you think stuff's wrapping up. Now with Cyndi. Cyndi was like, hey, by the way, guys, nobody leave until we get a date. We need a date. Everybody open up your calendars. Let's pick a date.
Who's in charge of this one and who's in charge of this one?
Yes.
It was done.
I do that because it's all about action. Like we can't just go have lunch. I mean, we can't go have lunch and just, have a good time. But what I want to do is create an action plan. And so all the ideas everybody threw out, let's put them together. And I said, how many people want to be in charge of an event? And 4 people out of 15 said they wanted to be in charge of an event. Yeah. Perfect. Let's put that together. How many people want to help this event, or this event? I gave everybody the option. I don't assign nobody anything. But you know why? Because if it's your passion, then you're going to love it. You're going to embrace it. It's going to flourish, it's going to grow, and it's going to be natural, and we're going to have fun doing everything that we love to do. And
it was that, and it felt like especially with this workshop that I wanted. I went into this meeting like I had already made a TikTok video about it the day before.
saw it.
And I was like, I'm going in there asking for a workshop. I want to do this event. I want to be able to help other creatives, because there was already so many people on TikTok itself that were like, we want this event. Like, how can we make it happen? And so I was just like, man, if venue spaces are expensive.
You went in there and you didn't even know that you were in love with the economy.
Right.
You didn't even know you wanted to speak about property taxes to city council. You didn't
no
know.
idea.
But all of it flew just like melted right into it.
Right. I didn't know we were going to go to the Spurs club. I didn't know any of that was going to happen. I didn't know we were going to have dinner. Right.
You got to hang out with the best, you know?
Well,
it was awesome.
I walked away from it feeling like, man, I feel like I've met all the important people from San Antonio. Like, I was just like, what's up with this? Like, we got in front of the mayor.
And you did.
We're in the professional, with all the business professionals. We're hanging out with these Christ believers at the end. And then at the beginning, we were with the creatives. So it was like a full day of meeting the right people who are making a change in this city.
That's
right.
You were last night, honestly, at the Spurs Arena place, you were with some of the most wealthiest people in San Antonio.
I felt it. Yeah. Some of them a little bit of ego. You could feel it when you brush past them.
Yeah.
Or I try to start a conversation. That's the funny thing for me when it comes to networking.
He's a good networker.
Yeah.
I know. I can tell.
Right.
We should have had flyers like made immediately, because our events would have been packed, because he networked with. If there was 500 people there, he talked to like 490, and I talked to the other 10.
Yeah. No, between the group that we were with, we definitely like scoured everybody. And what was great was that like even Allison, by the end of it, we're leaving, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, hey, no, I want you to meet this person." And it's like you've already made these connections, and it's like that's the great thing about networking is you give someone, even if it's 15 minutes of your time, you connect with them. They remember you, that they're now going to be like, I want to show you some other people that I know that are great. And it's like, to me, that's like the best type of networking, where you're getting somebody else's wreck.
Yes.
You know? You know?
And it was some of the biggest nonprofits in that room for not only San Antonio, but some of them for throughout Texas. So it's good. And then I talked to some people about one aspect of what I do, and I talked to the others about the men of honor. I talked to the others about Spanish women. I talked to somebody else about mental health. So we kind of collaborated with all different layers of what we already do, but bringing them to the table. So it's really nice. I liked it. It was fun.
And I think you bringing up mental health is always a good conversation, because as an artist, I feel like the mental health has to be strong to really make it in the art world, to be a creative. Like, you can't because a lot of people are going to try to define your art for you, right? And they're going to try to tell you this is the way it should do, or like this is the way it gets done. And I'm one of those people that's like, try to go against the norm, try to do things differently, right? Like I know a lot of people on TikTok that I literally talk to, and they'll be like, oh, I own a production company, but they don't post. They don't go on there. They don't talk. And it took me a while to get on there, right? Like right now, people are on there. Hey, everybody, we're live on TikTok for the people pictures.
I know. I'm live here too.
And you're live too. Red Lip Latina.
I don't know how to change the title to it though.
No, you gotta go off live and then change it. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna change it. It says Kodak Black is on here.
Okay. That's hilarious.
Live, so
that's funny.
It says Kodak Black.
Right.
No, guys, we're not at Kodak Black today. We're here with
Luiggi.
Latina Radio.
That's everybody's like, is he gonna sing? Is he gonna sing?
Yeah, no, that's the last one.
But what I was saying is, it's like you can't let the mindset overtake, right? Because once, and I think that's a big part of having that relationship with God, right? When you have a really strong relationship with God and your faith is centered to your whole journey, you don't let these little minute nuanced things affect you, right? Take charge or even put weight on you. And instead you just go with the flow. And I've always lived that way. Like I've always been like, go with the flow. And it's funny because I was thinking about it because I drove over here and I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't have a car yesterday, because then we wouldn't have experienced it, you know? Because it was really like, oh, you know what? My buddy Ethan was going to pick me up, and then I call him. I was like, hey, man, you know what? I'm actually going to go to City Hall. And he's like, you're going to City Hall? Like, what's going on?
Like, what in the world?
What in the world?
He just started rent and everything. I was like, and I was very nonchalant about it, just typing.
Yeah, she's super nonchalant. She's like, you want to speak at City Hall? And I was like, okay, God. Yeah. And it's almost like she's so nice and sweet about it that you're like, you don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Or like, it's like you see how comfortable she is, and you're like, well, if she's super comfortable about talking in front of them, then like, what do I have to be worried about? You know, like, she believes in me. That's why she asks. So I might as well just take the chance and put myself out there. And in all actuality, like while you're up there, you feel especially when you're walking up, you start feeling your body's like super nervous and tense. And then as soon as you start talking, it's like you just kind of go into a flow state, and then you almost forget. Like when you get off, you're like, what just happened? Where am I?
No, like a roller coaster.
I had my phone with me, and I told him, man, my eyes went cross-eyed. And then she said I had 3 minutes, so I had to switch my 2 minute into 3 minutes. I had to ad lib, and so I looked up, and then I lost the space, and I was like, forget the phone.
Right.
But,
oh my gosh.
I lost it there for a minute, and I was like cross-eyed, and anyway, you had to like reboot yourself in those quick seconds, just to rehash. But I'm glad you went, and one of my other volunteers finally spoke, and she was so nervous, like she was like, ugh. She said she couldn't even talk, the words wouldn't come out. She was so nervous. She spoke for about 30 seconds, but we're super proud of her. We're super proud of you, Sandra.
Yeah, Sandra, you're super cool
Sandra's
too.
amazing. I love her and her husband.
Yeah.
Oh, they're friends. They're besties. They're not.
Oh my gosh. They're always together. I'm sorry, guys.
I low-key assumed that too. I asked her, how long have you been married? She's like, we're not married. I was like, oh, my bad. It's just because the vibe
then she was
is
like,
so
no,
good.
like, we're not married or together. We're friends.
We're friends, yeah. But just cool. I mean,
They
I
have
totally
a great
get that.
relationship. So.
Yeah.
Right. I guess they're in business together. So it's like if you can have that friendship in a business partnership, I mean, that's the goal, right? You should get along with the people you work with. I've never understood environments where people are like nagging each other or annoying each other. I'm like, I never want to work with people like that.
Yeah, that's like a bad marriage already.
But, right. And in business, it doesn't make any sense to me because you have to be very vulnerable in business and in creativity, right? And so it's like we're meshing both here at For the People Pictures. And in my mind, anytime I bring on a collaborator or I bring someone who's going to come and join the team or even just work with me on a set, I want them to feel comfortable and I want them to know it's like, hey, the professionalism is at the top of the game, right? Like that's the main focus. Like I'm not playing around with the professionalism. And I never want someone to walk away and going like, that kind of sucked, like any set I've ever had. And I've had right now with my company, I've had over 10 productions that I've done. And I've even been fortunate to go international to Uruguay and Brazil, which was fantastic. But with all those productions, I've always had the crew and the people walk away and go, this was one of the best sets I've ever been on. Like you as a producer just handled everything. And there were never any situations where I didn't know what was going on or if things were running smoothly. Like you just have such a grip on it and you weren't afraid to like be vocal. And that's the thing. This is one tip. If you ever want to work on a production, any type of production, not even just mine, you have to be vocal on set. Like that is one of the keys to being successful. You have to speak up. You can't just sit in the corner on your phone quiet. Like they want people to step up and be leaders because everybody plays a part. Not just one person, not just the producer, not just the director. The PAs also have to step up and talk. The director of photography has to step up and talk. The hair and makeup has to step up. Everybody, every single position at one point will have to speak up during the day and vocalize, hey, here's some information or here's what I know or this is what I've learned, because that's how you really make the experience worthwhile for everybody. And you walk away with an amazing product, right, in my opinion. But those are just some of the things that you'll learn. Like, and for me, it's just like, I just made a video, and this might be controversial, but I said, you don't have to go to film school. Like, you don't have to go to film school anymore. You can just learn everything on the job, or you can learn everything from YouTube. Like, there are so many people on YouTube that are just teaching people exactly how to do it. And it's like, I don't need to spend $100,000 on a college degree that once you get to set and then once you start working, I've never once been asked, did you go to college or can you show me a degree or like none of that. And more or less, more people are going to actually look for the person who's like just working hard that day. Like if they see you hustling and you're running around, they're like, man, they'll call on the walkie for something and you're the first guy to answer. That's when they're like, I want to bring that guy back to my next one. And then the next thing you know, you're on set with Beyonce or you're on set with like a Super Bowl commercial and you're like, what the heck? Or like, what is that? Or Apple, right? Like I was there for the iPhone 13 in Los Angeles, and that was a crazy experience. And it was all secretive. They're like, put tape over your phones and you can't talk about it. You can't do it. It's like, get out of here, dude.
You put tape over my phone because y'all are listening.
Right.
Exactly.
I know what's going on, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just said one word today, and all of a sudden, with that one word, all these little
ads.
Commercials and ads started coming through. I was like, man, can't talk about nothing around my phone.
No, right. I'm like, hey, can I have $1 million debt free without interest? Phone, are you listening?
Right.
And they're like, Siri says no.
No, right.
Anyway, they're always listening.
It's
Anyway,
so
Jessica,
weird.
what you got?
Yeah.
Like what's personal? Well, I just booked a part.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, congrats.
Yes, I'm gonna be a doctor. So.
Oh, snap. That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
I'm excited.
Part. Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Oh, it just happened yesterday. So,
Oh, no.
and then I just shared it today. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
you're gonna be a
exciting.
doctor?
Yeah, so
And
I'm
what
excited.
movie or what? You know?
It's a long. His name's the director's name is Brett Mouser. So he does a lot of Amazon Prime, Tubi, things like that.
That's so cool.
I'll share the name eventually. Just
Yeah.
I didn't sign anything, but I need to
Yeah.
ask.
No worries.
Yeah. Do you know?
That's
Do they
so
let
cool.
you pick your doctor's name? Like, are you Dr. Lopez or something? Or
I'm pretty sure he will. He's
They
pretty
will.
cool. I actually did my first, and those are always the worst.
Yeah.
The first film, years ago, and it was on Amazon Prime.
Wow.
Yeah. It was exciting.
What's the name?
I don't want people to find it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was gonna check it out after the show.
I want people to find it. That's pretty cool though that you know,
Yeah.
at least you got that experience. I just want to be on a novela, like, you know, real passionate about like ven pa acá.
right.
So dramatic.
¿Quién crees que eres?
Right. The passion. The passion.
The
slow
passion,
slap,
yeah.
you know, like, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to be on one at least, or you know, one of those Christmas Lifetime movies the holiday movies that nobody
Yeah.
ever watches on Lifetime. But my friend Christine watches them, so I know she'll see me on that movie.
She's like, Cyndi, you were in
let's rewatch
Snowfall.
that. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's just like some cheesy, you know, part where you're just opening up Christmas stockings and smiling and putting them there or something. Just a small role. That's all I need. Jessica.
But the cool thing is, it shows you that there are roles here in San Antonio that are happening, right? Like that, there are projects, there are commercials, there are opportunities here, and I feel like there's a lot of people who think that there isn't. And I've just been one of those people who's like, if I can bring more opportunities to San Antonio, then I will. Right? I still work in Los Angeles, or I still travel internationally if the job calls for it. Especially as a producer, like some people will just hire me as an independent producer aside from my company. But when it's something that I'm making with my company, it's like I'm always going to gauge what does the public want, if they want to be a part of it, or if they, you know, have a great idea or a direction that we can take it. Like, let's try something different. Let's try something new, because I never want to feel like I'm doing it what everybody else is doing, right? That's always been like my mindset. And I think God put that in my heart when I was in school, because when I was a sophomore in high school, here's some Luiggi lore for you. When I was a sophomore in high school, I would make this prayer every day, and God gave it to me, and it was so beautiful. He said, pray this, and I would pray. I said, Lord, take me to the places that you don't take anybody else, right? And He has, and He does all the time, right? Like the way yesterday played out, that was an experience that was just made for me, right? Where everything just happened the way it did, and I just really took that in and was like, I want to give everything I have to these people, and because I want to show them that I'm serious about what I do, right? Although we can have fun and we can laugh and we can be joyful, I also want people to understand there is a lot of professionalism involved with it. There is a lot of seriousness when it comes to the work, right? To the actual art, the actual production. But I also like try to be really chill and like enjoy it, you know? Because I never want to feel, I never want to be that person who's like angry. I never get angry. Like even when my co-producer, Danny DeLillo, he's so cool. He's a great dude here. He's in New York right now, but he's usually in LA. Shout out Danny. He tells me, he's like, I've never seen you angry, Luiggi. And I don't think I ever will. I said, you won't, because you always come to me from a place of love. You always have your heart open to me, and it lets me open my heart to you. And that's why we're producing a film right now that's shooting in Kentucky next year. And he's the type of partnership that I've always dreamed of, right? Where you're like, man, this person is actually like real, like they're human. They understand that we're souls in these bodies. It's not just about like money. It's about people, and it's about connecting with them.
Picture.
The
That's
bigger
why I love
picture.
your title, like for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of the same like as my motto, you know. But because I care, I serve. So
I love
and
that.
you put the people first. It's the same thing. So
When he sent out the casting, he went live, and he was sharing like the auditions, because they were sent right to email and stuff like that. And I really like that, because you were teaching people, like how to be better or where they can improve.
Yeah.
And you were filing them as like, just because I don't use you for this doesn't mean that we won't use you for something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's not just like being selective, like, nope, this is it. You know, he was filing people for later, which I think that's awesome because not a lot of directors.
Right.
At
Like,
least to give you a chance. Yeah.
well, it's interesting too because that experience was so fun, and it was weird because I had never done that before, like go live and watch people's auditions. It was like 4 hours. I thought it was going to be faster than that, and then we ended up being live for 4 hours, and there was about 20 people who stuck around like pretty much throughout the whole thing, and then there was people just chiming in and stuff, but they were asking so many great questions about like the process or how they could be better. And it's like, that's one of the great things about being an expert in the field is like, you're knowledgeable enough to answer those questions without it being like, I don't know, you know, or like, oh, I can always find someone to answer that question or connect you with someone that might be able to help you. But when you actually have the knowledge because you've had the experiences and you've had the growth over the course of almost 10 years being in the film industry, then you can actually help them in a lot of, like, actually help them in a way where it'll actually impact them. And it's not just words where they're like, they'll write it down and then they'll forget about it. No, they'll actually take it and then it's like an actionable thing that they can now go implement.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Well, it's nice that you also empower others and, you know, you don't like charge them. You just help, you know, build and edify them. Now, at the end of the night, I was telling Jessica, like last night that we started talking about ways that we've heard from God.
Yeah.
You want to share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I shared some really good ones yesterday, but I'll share one right now that I didn't share with you yesterday, so it'll be new to you as well. So one day I had moved away from my brother's apartment in Hollywood, and I was in North Hollywood, right? And I had just gotten home. It was a long day on set. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I get home and I heard the voice. I was gonna say my father. I heard my father, which is real.
He is your father. Yeah.
But I heard God tell me, and He was like, "You're gonna go pray for your brother right now," because he was about to go to Hong Kong when all the riots and stuff were happening. So he was gonna go there for 2 weeks. And I was like, "Man, you know, Hong Kong's intense right now, especially if you're American, you know." And God just was like, "You're gonna go and pray for him right now." So I was like, "Man, it's late. Let me shoot him a text, see if he's even up." And I text him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm available." And I was like, okay, great. So I get in an Uber, I start heading over, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, how is this going to work? Like, am I just going to like go in and just ask him to pray? And so at the same time, I was like, if that's all I'm going there for, I texted one of my friends that lives in the area, and I was like, hey, you want to hang out? Like, I'm going to go to my brother's place. I just got to do this thing real quick. Like, if you want to pick me up. And I get there, and it's like him and this other guy, and they're watching a movie, like in the middle of the movie. And I was just like, oh man, I don't want to like stop the movie and then like how's this gonna work? You know?
Pause.
Yeah, right. There's a controller, Luiggi. But it's like, you know, you're getting nervous because anytime God talks to me, it's like I always feel my whole body gets hot and I start feeling very nervous. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm just trusting you, but I'm also taking this risk of like how is this gonna work? Mm-hmm. And I'll just like let the Holy Spirit speak through me. But what happened was I got there and I went into the bathroom, and I'll never forget this. I start washing my hands, and I just hear God tell me, and He goes, these next 2 weeks can either be filled with favor or they can be filled with nothing. You decide. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, God tells you something like that, you're like, I walked out of the bathroom, grabbed the remote, I said, I'm going to pause this real quick. I got to pray for my brother. The guy's like, yeah, no worries. I end up praying for him in like 2 minutes. As soon as I end the prayer, I get a text message from my friend, hey, I'm outside. And it was like perfectly planned. God was just like doing. And my brother ended up being safe. He's back. He was great. He had a great time. But that experience is like that, and so many other experiences like that when God has just been like spoken to me very clearly. And then He's been like, you can either be faithful and listen, and I will give you more than you can imagine, or you can choose to not be obedient. And I promise you that you'll suffer for it. And I know that sounds horrible, like, oh man, God's gonna make me suffer. But He makes you suffer because He just doesn't give you anything. He's just like, you don't really want me to use you, do you? You're just all talk. But when you're really like faithful and obedient, you're like, no, God, I'm serious about you using me, right? Yes. He'll take you to these rooms. He'll let you meet new people, and he'll connect you with individuals who are actually spirit-led, like yourselves, right? And now we're on the radio. Now we're sharing that story. You know, an experience I had years ago, yes, and now we're here talking about it. And someone out there is probably like listening,
and you're going to inspire them. Like, they're going to pick up something that we're saying here, and it's going to hit.
Something
That's what I
that we're
love
saying.
about-
Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny because I was watching your story yesterday and you were just talking about like your experience throughout the day, and you were just talking about how grateful you were to God. And I was just like, it just reiterated the whole idea of the day, where I was like, God chose us to be these leaders. God chose us to step up. And now we're able to really just like live in that role, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to let anybody else try to define us, because God's already defined us, you know? And so let's just run, you know?
Yeah.
Like let's just do whatever we can to help others, to have them know that it's possible to be successful in the film industry, in the arts, in entertainment.
Yes.
And not be afraid to go there, even though Hollywood and Los Angeles has become very dark and very corrupt sometimes. Trust me, I've experienced it firsthand. All that conspiracy stuff they talk about is very real once you're there. I'll share this crazy story if you're okay with it. I did a
We
job.
like crazy.
Yeah, I did a job. I don't think I've ever talked about this, but I'll share it with you guys. I did a job with Kid Leroy. He's this Australian artist. He did a song with Justin Bieber called "Stay," and it blew up. It was like the biggest song of the summer, like a couple years ago. And I was doing a music video with him. And as soon as we arrived to this big mansion, it was this executive from Columbia Records. He comes in, and it was like 7 a.m. It was like me and the truck driver, and I was just a PA at the time. And I kid you not, he said this. He walked up and he looks at both of us and he goes, "Wow, this house is huge. This is the type of place they do some satanic rituals at." And I was like, "What?" I was like caught off guard. But my spiritual ears were open. So it wasn't like, "Oh, that's weird that he said that." No, I was just like, "Oh, I'm clocking you. I know what you're about. I know who you serve, and I know who I serve. And it's okay. You can do your own little thing, but I'm aware that God has me here as a spy to take all this in, to know that it's real. That stuff they tell you about is very real." The wardrobe department, I don't know what the heck was going on. They had this dude, they had pentagrams on shirts. They had the word sin on it. I have videos of all this stuff, by the way. So it's very real. Like I can show you guys afterwards. It's not a joke, right? Yeah. There is a sense of deception that's happening at the highest levels of entertainment. And a lot of people don't want to believe it, because they're like, "Oh my God, I love celebrities. I love Taylor Swift and The Weeknd and all this." But to get to those rooms, to get into those circles, especially the levels that they're at, they had to have done certain things that corrupted them.
What is it?
Initiations.
Yes.
Exactly. Absolutely, they did those things, right? And so when you see that, then you definitely like lean way more into God, and you're like, "Okay, Lord, what do you want from me?" You know? And
What do you want from me here?
Right, yeah.
This location, yeah.
Right. And so it was so interesting, because at that location there was a girl named Taylor, who I had been working with for like this is like the third or fourth time that we worked together. I started talking to her about God, and I shared a couple of my testimonies with her, and she was just like, "Yo, I never believed in God, but when you talk about him, I believe in him." And I was like, that to me, I'll never forget. That was like a powerful thing for someone to say that. Like, man, I don't necessarily believe it, but when you speak about it, it's like, it feels real. It's like it is, and it's because it's real to me, because I've lived it, and I live it now, right? I experience it, and I've had moments where all I can do is just say God's in control, right? I had people doubt. I'll never forget this. I'll say this other story. There was this one guy, when I was moving out of my brother's apartment in Los Angeles, he was like, "Where are you going to go? Like, you don't even have a place to stay. Like, what are you going to do?" He said, "Where is your God?" And I was like, ooh, like, okay, all right. Like
a
challenge, right? So I told him, I said, "You don't worry about what my God's going to do for me, because I promise you in a year, everything's going to be different. I'm going to be set up, and I'm going to be good." And a year later, I had my own apartment. I had my own place. I had a good amount of income coming in. And I'll never forget when he came back to me and he said, "Hey, I was wrong."
Yes.
He said, "I was wrong to doubt what God was going to do with you."
But at least he came back and admitted it.
Yeah.
People don't, But
would you say it brought him closer to God?
I would say so. He's one of those people who's like, he's got a whole conflicted life and all that, but it was definitely a moment where I could tell, like, it planted a seed. And I told him, I said, "Look, even if your go-to, the first thing you do is not go to God, I do that. I go to God immediately. But if that's not your go-to, just know that He is there, right? Even if it's like the second thing that you think is God, or the third thing, at least you consider that there's a possibility that He can help you, right? And that to me is enough, right? Like, hey, just know that he's always around you. He's here now. The presence of God is with us today in this radio station, in this moment, in this studio. And it feels so nice to be able to be surrounded by people who honor him and who love him and who aren't afraid to talk about it. You know, like I'm telling you, like when I prayed on the way over here, and I prayed last night. I prayed for you. We actually prayed outside of Mi Familia. That was like the end of the night, right? I told them, I said, because we're talking about God so much, I was like, you guys mind if I pray for you guys? Like we pray to end the night out. And then it was so funny because we still talked for another 20 minutes after that. Even though that was supposed to be like the goodbye prayer, we still stuck around. And because it's like when you're around good people, it's like you don't want the night to end.
Yeah, you don't want it to end.
You know?
It didn't even feel like work. It just feels like he said after he testified, he was like, that's it. Like, we're like solidified. We're like family.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, yep, you're right. That's it. You're in. Like, you're in. But I always say God catches every tear. He answers the deepest desires of your heart, down to the smallest things, you know. And I shared a little bit of those stories yesterday, down to the smallest little things, you know. Last month, me and one of my friends, and this is going to sound frivolous to people on the radio, but she wanted to go somewhere, and the tickets were both $150. And I wanted to go somewhere, and the tickets were $150. And I said, well, I can't afford to pay that, you know. And she was just like, yeah, me either. And I was like, well, I know God answers the deepest desires of our hearts. And then she was like, amen. Well, next thing you know, on the same day, like weeks later, she gets a phone call. Hey, I got 2 tickets for you for this event. We're like, and then I get a phone call. They got 2 tickets for me for that event. That's
Praise God.
$300 and $300, $600 of free things that we didn't ask nobody. We didn't call nobody, even though we probably could have. We could have called somebody. Hey, no. They called us and gave us a little thing, just a quick sentence between us both. Oh, I would love to go. Yeah, you want to go with me? Yeah, well, you know, maybe it's got to give us some tickets. And then boom.
You multiplied it.
Yeah, for both of us.
I'll tell you another story that's in the same vein. We did my brother's son's second birthday at the zoo, right? And I was like, yo, you know, it'd be cool, like, if we went to SeaWorld with him, like, for his 3rd birthday. And my brother was like, bro, SeaWorld, like, that's expensive. Like, you know, there's like 7 of us in this group. Like, it's pricey. And I was like, oh, bro, just have faith. Just have faith. Within a week, actually less, because this was on Wednesday. Sunday, I meet a woman at our church who literally tells me, she's like, oh, I'm the communications director for SeaWorld. I can get you guys free tickets. How many do you need? How many? Yeah. She said, how many do you need? I can get up to 10.
She didn't say, here's 2. She said, how many
How many do you need? And that's God right there. He ain't going to say, I only got this. He's going to say, how many do you need? And I was blown away, because I went back to my brother and I was like, remember when you said next year was too expensive? And now what? Less than a week later, we're here. And he's just like, bruh. You know.
God's got you. God's got you.
Right. God's got you.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me for crazy things. The list goes long and distinguished. Like, I can tell you so many times, you know, even down to like, I was blessed enough to go to the presidential inauguration.
Yeah.
And I only paid $75 for my luggage.
Well,
everything else was, my airfare was paid for, my hotels were paid for, and I didn't ask nobody.
Yeah.
4 tickets were given to me at $10,000 a piece. I didn't ask nobody.
That's huge.
You know what I mean? Like, and it covered my pastor, my pastor's wife, my friend. You know, I didn't ask for those, but I asked God a long time ago. Like, it sure would be nice to be there.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I don't have to be there. One more time. So when I first got my job, I went into Saks Fifth Avenue, and they had the Libre perfume. And I was like, man, that smells so good. I stood there, I smelled it, and I said, man, but I would not spend $380 on that Libre perfume. Jeez. And I was like, but it sure does smell good. So God, if you want me to have it, send it my way, you know?
Yeah.
And no joke, I was in church. I was in the back. I work a desk at the church to help the people that are attending the service, like, learn about the church or sign up for, you know, this or that. And a lady came up to me and she said, God told me to buy you this. And boom,
that's
$300
amazing.
bottle of Libre perfume, brand new. And I was just like, oh my God, just like,
tears.
What?
That's
like,
beautiful.
down to the littlest things. Like, I would never ask somebody to buy me a $300 perfume.
Yeah.
But they did, and they delivered it to me at church and said, God told me to buy this for you. Okay. I mean, down to the littlest, I mean, that's a big thing for me, but down to the deepest desires of your heart. Even if you say, whatever it is. I don't know what y'all want. You know,
Well,
maybe say, what do you want?
well,
what would you ask God for? Something that you desired, seriously, and it just comes to.
Yeah, it comes to fruition.
Yeah.
You know, because he's listening. You know, and he's actively listening. You know, and he knows your heart.
And I would never spend that amount on myself.
No. Well, it's interesting. My mom's a prayer warrior. She's like hardcore Christian, just like us. And one day she was like, oh, man, I'm like overdrafted. I had to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm like overdrafted like $125. Literally like within 2 hours, she was just praying. She's like, man, I'm really praying. I don't know what to do. Some lady from the church just hit her up and was like, hey, God just told me to send you $150. And I was like, you're kidding. She goes, dude, I don't even talk to this lady like that. Like she just reached out to me.
I didn't even talk to the lady that gave me the perfume.
Right. And so sometimes it's like somebody you have no idea who's even in this sphere of influence.
You don't even tell people what you want. It's just Habakkuk 2:2, write it down, make it plain. But sometimes you don't have to write it down because God, like I told you, he catches every tear.
Yeah.
And he vindicates you at the end of the day. So down to the deepest desires of your heart. Well, we have 2 minutes left. So let me hear, what's the word of wisdom for our listeners?
So I will leave you with a message of encouragement for anybody out there who's a creative and wants to be in this business. Your art, your voice, and everything that you're going to create matters. Everything that you're working on right now is important, and people deserve to see it. They deserve to hear your voice. They deserve to know that you're working actively to make an impact on the community, to influence people in a way that there's positivity, goodness, joy, happiness, love, and most of all, spread the word of God. Do not be afraid to talk about your relationship with God, and do not be afraid to seek him out. If you've never sought out God and this is your first time hearing somebody's testimony or an experience where you see the three of us were so joyful, we're having fun, this is what it's like to have a relationship with God. Connecting with other individuals who actually have that connection as well is important. He's taken me to so many places that I never imagined. He's brought me a new job working for this company called O3 in LA. Shout out to them. I'm going to be starting a new journey, but I'm also starting a new journey with Cyndi and Jessica here with the arts and entertainment community of San Antonio. And the sky's the limit for us. I mean, we were at the mayor's office yesterday at City Council for what? The first day we met? We might be in front of the president within a week.
Amen to that.
Amen.
You know? But,
Yep.
but it's just
We will
like,
be.
do not be afraid to start and take that first leap, because I started posting on TikTok 3 months ago, and today I am now full of community, full of love, full of laughter, full of joy, and more than anything, full of God. The Spirit of God is with us today and always. And so thank you so much for having me.
All right, amen. Tell people where to follow you at.
For the People Pictures, you can find me on For the People Pictures on TikTok, on Instagram, or you can find me, Luiggi, at It's Me Luiggi. I don't post a lot on there. I mainly post on TikTok, For the People Pictures. And if you want to reach out and if you have a film or a project you want to work on, For the People Pictures at gmail.com is the best way to reach me. I will respond.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Luiggi. And Jessica, thank you for helping co-host today. Mari, we miss you. Frank, I hope you're having fun. And Fed, we're out. Thank y'all.
See you next time.
Bye.